Da 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 da. We're back. We're back. We're back. We're back. 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 Baby.
Finally, this hair is useful.
Yeah.
We're back.
That was fun.
We're back. We're casting. We're stattering. It's the Statrcast.
Woo!
Honestly, I like that we're getting into like a run of this, and we've kind of got a dynamic. Like Gary, you missed last week. We had Dean. Dean won the quiz by default, and it was the worst quiz
It was the worst.
ever. It was like grading
best
two
words
children
in
on their
English
homework.
language.
It was painful. Bless. So thank you, Gary, for returning.
No problem. I'm actually looking forward to this week. It's a straight shootout between me and Jimmy.
I know where I know where I'm hedging my bets.
Yeah, me too. I have a funny feeling I'll get embarrassed this week. But anyway,
So
we shall see.
what I want to look at, because it's been a week in football land. It's been a week. We've got the referee scandal of David Coote and his feelings on Juan Jurgen Klopp. We've got November internationals where nobody seems to want to be there. And of course, we've got the most important topic of all, our beautiful, beautiful League of Ordinary Gentlemen hosted on Statr.
It's not gentlemen, it's the League of Ordinary Gals. We're Equal Opportunities League, remember?
Sorry, apologies. Yes,
Sorry,
the
kid.
League of Ordinary Girls. Jimmy, you
Yes.
have the teams. I want to look at everybody's teams. I want to know
Look at everybody's team.
how
Everybody wants to look at
everybody
everybody's
is
team.
shaping up right about now.
Okay, so if you'd like to a little journey, it's going to take just a little minute. I will. Yeah.
Would you like to share that screen, Jimmy?
Yeah, we're working on that, John. We're working on that.
I apologize.
Some
I need
minor
to.
Wi-Fi
I
issues
need
here.
to know.
Let's have our lovely starting 11 of the Craggy Naggins as
We do.
Gary is on this week. We're going to start there. Gary, why don't you tell?
Very hard for me to say. I have no logic for this right now because if we look at the results last week, I left a win against your dear brother on the bench last week.
Yeah.
Thinking to myself that my logic last week was that Brighton and City could potentially be a bit of a goal fest. Which is why Rutter started up front, because City have been leaking goals left, right, and centre. And Brighton also have, I think it's either the second or third worst defence over the last 5 games. I can't remember, but it is pretty shocking regardless of what way you look at it. So that's why Rutter was in the team. That's why Silva was in the team. Marino should have started. I don't know why he didn't. Because Arteta is just being an absolute dick. And Hoyland has been just shocking for me. What's really annoyed me is Neto. How I've left him on the bench in the last 2 games, and he has scored in the last 2 games.
Because it's a Pep Roulette situation with Timo Pep and Enzo Maresca.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen going forward. I think Neto was pretty nailed on now in that team.
You think Mr. Sancho, when he returns from his Call of Duty induced sickness, isn't going to take his slap back?
Sancho? No.
Yeah.
Sancho's getting nothing. Sancho's
nothing.
Well, we'll come to that later.
Yeah. So Neto is going straight back into the team. Lavia is going straight back into the team. Robertson is going straight back into the team. There's like 3 or 4 players on my bench who deserve to be in the starting lineup. Having said that, quite happy with my Kelleher pick.
Yeah, that's kind of over the last few. It's not a long-term play though.
No, it's not. Arnie Slot has come out and said as soon as Alisson is fit, he is the number 1 goalkeeper. It's just a question of when he gets fit and if he stays fit.
Yes.
But yeah, I have a funny feeling that there will be some internal transferring going on over the next couple of weeks, because there are players in this overall squad who have potential. So I'm happy with my squad, just not with my choosing of my first 11 right now.
Gary, I have to say it's not a bad squad, and there was obviously a couple of changes this week with the addition of Lavia and Rice. I'm very curious about what the Rice deal cost you, but the one I don't understand is McAllister. Like, I know our game gives a bit more love to creative DMs, but he hasn't been a creative DM since he went to Anfield. He's a destroyer. He's not no points. You know what I mean? He's like a Rashford. He's there, but he's not doing anything. And you keep him in the lineup. And I wonder, is that heart overhead, my friend? I wonder, is that the pool thing speaking?
It is, and it will be changed. I think it's going to be changed this week. Now that I have Declan Rice.
Yeah, I was going to say that's
Lavia in there. That kind of comes into play now. The reason he was there is because he's nailed on to play every single game, and he's nailed on to play 90 minutes.
So Gary, let me ask, who are your non-negotiables if we're talking internals?
Well, Palmer, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Palmer is a non-negotiable.
Really, you'd never part with Palmer, really?
I would never part with him.
Unless it's for shenanigans.
Unless
work anyway.
Neto at this stage is probably a non-negotiable, but everybody else apart from that, I think, is up for sale.
Ooh, who do I want there?
And possibly Robertson, actually, because he's coming back into form.
Yeah, remind me to talk to you about Perfy Pervez there at some point, because we picked him up. I was a little bit sickened.
He's the only one on your team who I'd be like.
Yeah, I do. I did. I will say I had a little chuckle at the fact that he was available and Jimmy didn't pick him up.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think I drafted him, or if I didn't draft him this year, I definitely drafted him last year.
Well,
and
last year he was your he was
my boy, but he made a very slow recovery. He had that long injury, and he came back towards the end of the season. He wasn't really doing anything. Start of the season, he wasn't really doing anything, and now that Estepinian Mitoma Welbeck thing
is working.
Seems to be really working all the way to 6th place over the bodies of Man City. I told you this would happen, by the way. For the record, I did say that Brighton would beat City, but just anyway, moving on.
I could be persuaded on Delap. He was one of my initial draft picks who I didn't hold on to for long enough. I saw this coming, but it wasn't happening early doors, so I bit the bullet and dropped him. And naturally, as is the case historically in the game, it's right when I decide to tank out a player, they decide to show up again. So we could talk to Lap. I could talk to Lap.
Yeah, I should have known to put him in the lineup, considering Ipswich had Spurs this week, and Spurs are gonna Spurs.
All right, Jimmy, pull up the next team. Let's see who have we got. We've got Damo's draft.
Okay, next up is Draft Punk,
which is still a fantastic name. Every time I see it, it brings me
probably the best team name of the year. Yeah. There's not a lot to get excited about here. I think he's been particularly unlucky with a couple of the people he's picked up. Nkunku and Foden on paper are great picks. They haven't been delivering. Bailey on paper, great pick, not delivering. Dan Burn, Newcastle defensive collapse this year statistically, not delivering. Tarkowski, nailed on brilliant player, not really delivering. Castagnet hasn't played a minute all season. McGinn's an absolute stormer, but he's injury prone. And the worst luck of all, one of the most bankable players in fantasy football history, James Ward-Prowse, and he's not performing. This
isn't too many there.
It's not a bad team. It's just a whole load of lads having a bad year so far.
It's a whole load of lads who can't get in the team. I mean, if you look through that starting 11,
Sells is nailed on. Byrne is in and out. Mitchell is nailed on. Killman is a futsal player, and
Iwobi's brilliant.
Iwobi's good. Gordon has been in and out of the team. Sterling can't buy a minute at Arsenal, and Nkunku is not getting in ahead of Jackson. Even if you look at the bench, Timber has been injured. McGinn is fit, but he's on the bench. And I don't know if Ward-Prowse is actually playing for first.
He's not.
Impact sub. He's coming on late in second halves. He's not playing 90 minutes.
But impact subs are as useless as an inflatable dartboard in this league.
Yep. One exception, but we'll get to that later. You know who I'm talking about, but we'll get there. So and Damo current.
Damo
for all his work.
He is where he belongs. He's safely mid-table team.
Yeah,
he is. He's a Brighton. He's a Fulham. He's going to finish safely in the middle pack and not do anything and not be threatened to be relegated. When Wharton's fit again, he'll pick him up points. Foden will hit his stream of form at some. You know what I mean? They're not going to be competing for shit come the end of the year.
We'll see.
That's reality. But Gordon will go on a run of form at some point. Foden will go on a run of form at point. Sterling needs to go, and Coote needs to go. Bailey needs to go. His front line is absolute dog shit.
Apart from Wissa,
who's on his bench right now, he picked badly last week.
Yeah.
There might be a great team.
There might be some deep to be done with the Naggins on this one.
Ooh. Is it this week you boys are playing?
Is it this week we're playing? It could be.
No, Gary, you've got the Rodgers this week, mate. You're going to get Rogered.
Do I? I thought I had them last.
You're going to get Rogered, but more on that when we get to them.
Bring up the next team. I've had enough of Damo's team that makes me sad. Bring up the next team. Kinder Bramos.
And as a result is in third place, as is tradition. Never win the league from auto pick, but you'd always be top 3. It's actually looking way better now. He's made no changes, but it's looking way better now than it did at the start of the season, with the exception, obviously, of Maguire. Martinez is a strange one. He's probably one of the best goalies in the world, but he's absolutely terrible in fantasy football.
I think he's the best goalkeeper in the world, personally, right now.
But no points. So, Nathan Collins is excellent for points. Kufal's worthless. Saka is good when he plays. Guimaraes, not great for points. Again, another destroyer. Bowen having a bit of a quiet season, but that's West Ham all round. Kudus, same issue. Jackson starting to pick up this kind of the second half of the season so far, but was slow out of the traps. I mean, Darwin Núñez, he's a good kid. He's a lovely lad. You want to make him his dinner. Make sure he has a taxi fare to get home. But he's fuck all.
Dave's team is, again, Dave's got a Gary problem going on in the fact that when you look at his bench, he's fucking stacked. Robinson is the third highest point scoring defender in the game.
Semenyo and Cunha,
you have Cook, Semenyo, and Cunha. Like Calvert-Lewin and Núñez drop out straight away for Semenyo and Cunha, and he's on fire. And Robinson goes in for Maguire, and suddenly he's a title contender.
Yeah,
I wonder whether or not it's a fear of putting in players from teams like Bournemouth, like Wolves, versus big names like Calvert-Lewin,
Harry Maguire.
Harry Maguire. I wouldn't be dropping Núñez out of that team just yet. With the injuries that Jota has had, he stays. He's pretty much nailed on as the only real out and out number 9 that Liverpool have outside of Jota. Everyone else is kind of.
I get that. And he has his one in every 3-4 weeks where he's actually very, very good, and he gets your hopes up, and then returns to making you very, very frustrated.
But I'd still above what's on the bench there. I think I'd be dropping Calvert-Lewin and bringing in Semenyo. Looking at it, interestingly enough, it's very West Ham heavy.
It's very West Ham heavy. Kudus was a great crack until he lost all run and reason of himself and went on a one-man mission to fight every man that belonged in a Spurs jersey that day.
That was one of my favorite video moments in football history.
Yeah.
The one, if he's not a West Ham legend after that, he took on the entire Spurs team, got sent off, and won. I mean, legend, absolute legend. Honestly, lads, if that's my squad, I am putting all 7 of those boys off the bench onto the pitch. And I'm taking out DCL, Núñez, Kudus, Guimaraes, Kufal, and fucking Slabhead. And I'm dropping Martinez for Flecken all day long. He's got busy players, but they're busy on the bench. Cunha is an asset no matter what league you're playing this year. Over next door, over in that other side, I dropped Haaland for Cunha this week.
And it was a fucking flaker of a pick. A lot of people captained him over in the other league.
Oh yeah, I just had to let go of him with the money he frees. This is, again, we won't get into the problems of the other league, but the money he frees up is enough for me to pay off the Irish budget and then buy back Rockall and then have enough money left over to get dreadlocks or something. I don't know. He's ridiculous, but no, I'm bringing Cunha on, and I think Dave.
Yeah, if Dave actually picked his team properly,
if Dave got his shit together and actually set his lineup, he'd be lethal.
Yeah, if he actually picked his team properly, he'd be.
And on we go.
Contender.
I believe the next thing I think what we need to say next is check out the fucking magic. Now, lads, I'm going to leave you to it for a minute. Just really take that in.
Leno, I'm biased. He's wonderful. White, Davis, and Coote. Coote, I still can't believe you got him out of Jack for being a fucking moron. Gundogan, Madison, Matoma, Gibbs White. It's a Gundogan's a waste of time in that midfield. Madison's currently not playing at Spurs. He's getting 5 minutes here and there. Pedro is world class, just back from an injury. Mbeumo's on fire. Salah is arguably in the form of his life. Your bench,
So, if I can speak on behalf of my boys for a minute, Hermansen is one of the highest, or up until recently was one of the highest scoring goalies in the league, but Leicester seem to have changed how they're defending, and I might have to make moves there. Milenkovic is my rotating player. He's all right. Forrester, okay. He'll do fine. Buonanotte is a sleeper. Nobody seems to realise this, but he has all of the goal involvement at Leicester this season. Tavernier is another one. He is stuck into at least an assist a week with Bournemouth. Remember earlier on I said impact subs were worth something sometimes. It's Harvey Barnes. Those 25 minutes, he's probably getting more points per minute than any other player in the league right now. Kai's gone cold, so to the bench he goes. And Vardy, I'm getting him for the nailed on impact. I think we're probably looking at 10 or 11 or 12 goals this season. He's a good bench burner. He'll get me points, but he's not good enough to knock out João Pedro, Brian Mbeumo, or Mo fucking Salah.
You've got
I am incredibly confident.
You've got a strong 11, arguably removing Gundogan. You've got a very strong 11. Like Leif Davis is that he was one of my. I was fucking livid that you got him ahead of me now in the draft. To be honest, so I don't like your bench. I think your bench is weak. That's where it'll let you down.
Do you think so?
I'd be disagreeing with you, John. I mean, I record it and make sure you put it online. I think Jimmy has the best squad of everyone this year. I'm actually jealous of this squad, and I did have the option. I think did I pick ahead of you in the draft, Jimmy, and I didn't take Salah? I took Cole Palmer.
You did.
No, you didn't take Trent.
No,
you did not take Trent. We're going to get onto where Trent is in a minute.
But I took Cole Palmer instead of Salah. If I was in your shoes, I would be confident. The only thing I would be worried about in your starting 11 is, first of all, Coote has legs like glass. We know this. Gundogan, when you picked him up, I was a little bit ticked off. I won't lie. I think he will come good, but it's a question of how long it'll take him to come good. Salah is the question mark for me. Really. A lot of this is going to depend on, first of all, how the contract situation goes.
Yep.
Whether or not he actually signs a new contract or not, and if he doesn't and signs a pre-agreement with another club, is he going to just phone it in for 6 months? Now, he came out today and said that he doesn't like Liverpool being underdogs and he wants to win fucking everything. So that would suggest that won't be the case. Fair enough. But he also does experience a bit of a lull in January, February. If you look at the scores over the last 2 to 3 years, he does tend to drop off in January and February for obvious reasons.
Yeah, the AFCON.
But your bench, I think, is strong enough to cover you there. Vardy is playing, may not be knocking in as many goals as he did the year he won the league and won the league for me. But he is there. Havertz will eventually get back into the team, I think, or will get back into form. So I think you've got enough to cover you. If I was in your position, I would be very, very confident.
The only upside, Gary, is that Jimmy is Jimmy, and he will find a way to try and be too clever for his own good, and he will shit the bed.
So that's what happened this week.
That's
what happened this week. If you want to talk about fucking up lineups, this is not the lineup I played last week. This is my current lineup. I set it quite frequently. What I did wrong last week was if I had played the lineup on the left, I think if I had made even a single substitution per position differently last week, it would have been worth an extra 60 points. Mm-hmm. I ended up losing by 1.5 points. So it's the overthinking, over-tailoring thing is like doom for us all. Like, nobody ever, like, I think the guys who do really, really well in leagues, the guys who are kind of top tier in their leagues, are the guys who set the team once a week while they're taking a shite, follow their gut, listen to their instincts, and go, right, I'm done.
They fucking pick it.
And they just leave it alone. Those of us who will, like, weave cobwebs of printed spreadsheets around our brains going to bed at night in the hope that we will work out who will get that key pass, that's where you make mistakes. And that's what I did this week and blew the game. And it's a pity. But I think it's a strong squad. It's the best I've had.
You'd think that'd be the case, but then I'm sitting second bottom, and you're sitting second from top, and I absolutely am the guy who sets his lineups while having a shit in the toilet. It doesn't seem to be working for me.
It's the bench.
Come here.
It's
when
squad
it comes
depth.
to fantasy football, it's either toilet time or it's Friday office after lunchtime. Those are your slots for sorting out your life. I mean, we're going to be honest about it. That's when you do it.
Yeah.
Jimmy is Tinkerman. He'll over tinker. He's Claudio Ranieri in the Chelsea era. He's going to tinker to the point where he shits the bed. So next team, please.
Next team.
Who have we got?
Next team.
Old Republic.
Let's see who's next.
This is going to be quick.
Dino couldn't be with us tonight, and it's a shame because I would love to see him explain why he has the Ipswich goalie and the Everton goalie, and he thinks it's a good thing. Dallow, good player in a bad defence. Hall is the flavour of the week in all formats of FPL. Everybody's raving about him. I don't see it.
He's taken Dan Burn's place. Livramento, Dan Burn and Trippier are benched for Lewis Hall and Livramento.
Well, Livramento was bought in to be a replacement for Trippier as soon as he got his fucking knee checked there last Christmas. And he's a good player. He had a great season at Southampton years ago. Aina, I think, is the same logic that has me taking on Milenkovic, which is Forest good right now. Baleba, again, that's a very heavily rotated midfield, so that's risky. Kovacic, Kulusevski, normally yes. This year's Spurs all over the place. Garnacho's a great pick. Tielemans was a great player. Now he is an okay player at a good team. Hudson-Odoi is nailed on at Forest again. Forest good, so short term this is good stuff. And what does that say at the bottom?
He's got the big guy.
Haaland?
Yeah, he's got
Haaland.
Cheat code.
And his bench when it's fit, his bench when it's fit is strong. His problem is his bench is probably the same problem I have with my bench.
Is it though? I mean, his three defenders are all centre halves teams that are leaking goals. So
Van de Ven makes a huge difference to Spurs. Diaz makes a huge difference to City. Martinez makes a huge difference to United.
But they don't keep clean sheets.
Well, nobody keeps clean sheets for a start. Secondly, City defenders are a problem. We know this. But Van de Ven and Martinez are both fucking bruisers. These are not boys who are going to be part of attacking involvement. I know Van de Ven has a turn of speed like nobody else has. He's the fastest man in the league. I get that. But it's unlikely that he's going to be using that speed to get up the wing and lob it across the way at Trent Alexander-Arnold would.
Did you not see his assist against United?
Let's assume I didn't.
That was one game, though, John. That was one game. Over the course of the season,
he's been injured with his glass hamstring.
I'm going to stat check this, boys. You guys carry on arguing. I'm going to...
Joelinton.
I would think that Van de Ven and Martinez are going to be currently inside the top 20 scoring defenders.
They will be. Wait, come the end of the season?
Right now.
Oh, they will be because none of them have been fit.
Yeah, and I have no reason to think that will change before the end of the season. So I actually think, Dean's bench is dog shit, other than Jimenez. And why Jimenez is not in the team ahead of
Yuri Tielemans.
Or Tielemans, or any other, it's about 4 or 5 players. Now again, as I say, it's easy for me to say this because I am below everybody else in the league, and it's very easy to stand on a pulpit and preach. But I don't understand the Jimenez on the bench. I don't understand.
Gary, you were bottom of the league because of the curse of the league. Because it happens most seasons. You win the league, and then next year goes to absolute moose knuckle nonsense. Because it was the same. I won the league the year before, and I was bottom 2 with Dino last year. Dean ends up in the bottom 2 anyway. That's one of the 2 slots.
That's just Dean. That's why we love him.
That's safe as houses is that Dean is going to be one of the bottom 2 teams.
That's just Dino. That's why we love him.
Safe as houses that he'll be one of the bottom 2 teams. And then it's just a case of who's the other one? And Gary, you get out of it like
it's who could the other one be? Let's just see who the next team is, shall we?
Killing me softly.
That's who it'll be. It hasn't been Kim's year so far. Again, good players that don't get points and a little bit of... isn't it Kim that has the absolute obsession with lads who have played in Spain or who are Spanish or who look a bit Spanish or who did Spanish for the Leaving Cert?
Well, she's 2 Spanish contingents in our league. She lives in Madrid might have coloured the picking sentiment with...
It might. It might. Let's have a rip here. Areola, West Ham not having a good first half. Senesi, good player. Guardiola, good player, but the City problem. He's the only one who's actually getting any points in the City defence, though, because he does have a tendency to get shots on target. Ashley Young just brought in. Hopefully he does well. Will not hold my breath. Lamina, don't know who that is. Kamada, don't know who that is. A Newcastle midfielder that plays half the games. The man who put in the worst performance the Premier League has seen this year in Casemiro. Larsson's a good pick. Luis Diaz is not a good pick. And Savio doesn't do anything. But luckily, she's got her defenders. Why, there's the second choice Arsenal goalie, the fourth choice Liverpool back, the crippled Arsenal defender, Doucouré, Minty, an injured Jota, and the poorest performing Ollie Watkins month or two that I've seen in 5 years.
Ever. Yeah.
Can you say who's the Brighton forward that he has on the bench again?
Minty!
And who's the Everton midfielder?
Doucouré.
There we go.
Doucouré and Minty.
So, Areola is a solid keeper, but Fabianski is kind of taking the spot again over the last few weeks. Senesi solid, Guardiola is solid. Young, no. Lamina, he's a Wolves centre midfielder. He's
not going to get the points.
He's meh. Kamada is a good pick at the moment because Crystal Palace have no fit footballers. Murphy's pointless. Casemiro makes actually a lot of sense right now. He's playing in the go fuck yourself Ten Hag form, showing that he could be fucked when he fancies to be. Larsson solid. Diaz, yeah, sure. Savio's an absolute wasted skin. And the bench, apart from Ali Watkins, they can all go in the bin. Kim is going to be in the bottom two, and I'm willing to put my bets on that now.
Hang on. Savio is a waste of skin.
Yeah, he's doing nothing.
He's a victim of Pep rotation. Fair enough, but when he's in the team, he's relatively solid. I think he scored something like 11 or 12 points last week.
10 last week, 21 and a half the week before, and 11 before. Actually, that's not bad now the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, so like when he plays, he's actually quite good. It's the question.
He's got the Jack Grealish problem of, because he likes to do things in a more fluid and floaty way. Pep won't play him. Like Jack Grealish, if he literally any other team in the Premier League would be a world beater, and I think Savio would be in the same category. Either
this is the reason why I traded him.
Or Arsenal, a huge difference.
No, this is the reason why I traded him out of my team for Declan Rice.
I don't know how the fuck you pulled that shit off.
It actually was a lot easier than you would think.
Kim did bad with that. That's a terrible transfer. Savio,
I think Kim wants to be last.
I'm wondering can I pillage her for something else? I'm wondering.
Next team before Gary gets ideas.
Next team. Oh God, here we go.
As your future league champion. No. We will not be
okay, let's go from the top here, right?
Highest goal scorer.
We've got Newcastle's second best goalie. Second best goalie after what you call him, Karl Dubravka. We've got Trent Alexander-Arnold, except we've only got half of him this year. There's Saliba, suspended. James, crippled. Guehi, Smith Rowe, overrated. Fernandes, solid. Diallo, useless. Evan Nielsen, finally finding form. Rashford, useful as tits on a fish. Brennan Johnson, disappointing transfer of the season, possibly. Thought he would do more. He's scoring, but not enough. And then you got your subs. You've got crippled, dropped, crippled, useless, decent, crippled, and dropped.
We have a very different opinion on this squad. Pope is the highest point scoring goalkeeper. Trent is the highest point scoring defender. Saliba is not suspended anymore. Guehi is Guehi. Yeah, Reece James is a totally temporary pick. Let's be honest here. Smith Rowe is Fulham's best player, and outside of the top six teams has been the biggest impact player in the league so far. Bruno Fernandes. Diallo is in the form of his life, which is lovely to see. Evan Nielsen has hit a bit of form. Rashford is pointless, to be honest. I'm very aware of that. Brennan Johnson is solid and does enough, and he plays. Bench, Allison will be back. Stones, I'm not sold on him. Calafiori, yep, he'll be back after the international. So Allison will be back after the internationals. Calafiori will be back after the internationals. Mainu will be back after the internationals. Anderson is solid as shit. Gapco and Rashford, they're the rotation players. And Sancho, he's got to go find a new home because he's not going to play football at Chelsea ever again after 3 months.
There's too much uncertainty in your team for me.
So,
Gary. Go on, Gary. I want
It's far too much uncertainty. So fair enough. Let's look at this in the same way as we did for Dave's team. You were very Man United heavy. Very, very Man United heavy. Mainu on the bench. Is he going to play again? Or not play again, but is he going to play regularly this season? That Eriksen is actually doing quite well. And to your point earlier, Casemiro was actually doing some shit in the midfield. He's not going to play every game.
Yes.
Diallo is in and out in the same way as Garnacho is. Van Nistelrooy couldn't actually make up his mind. The other piece we need to consider, though, is Amarin is coming in. And who knows what his starting 11 is going to be like. It is a big upgrade. But what is his starting 11 going to look like? Is Casemiro going to want to be in that team where it's a high press, or is it going to be Mainu? Probably going to be
Mainu and Ugarte in the middle, and it's going to be a front three of
but
Bruno, Diallo,
Ugarte has no pace about him, which means Mainu is going to be running around like a headless chicken because they play such a high line. Everyone's just going to be able to play through them. Their back four is not fast enough, which means the back four is going to concede a shit ton of goals, which means that Mainu is going to lose a lot of points. And Bruno is not going to want to put the press on the way he needs to for an Amarin team to work. So I don't think you're going to get the same level of points out of him. Rashford is out the gap. I reckon he's gone at the end of the
summer. You're getting hate in the comments here as well for this. Amadella useless. Bin him off, Gary.
I didn't say. Hang on.
Hold on a second.
I didn't say he was useless. Jimmy said he was useless, so it's not me. Yeah,
I did. He is. He's the fourth best midfielder at Man United. He's the fourth highest scoring midfielder at the 13th place team in the league.
In that I would be taking a punt on. Fernandes will play, fair enough, but I think actually the one player out of the four that you've got there who will excel in the new system if he's given a chance, Diallo.
I do too. Diallo is going to excel in the new system. Bruno will. Rashford's going to be the problem. I think James is a temporary pick. He's a temporary pick, but he'll do well temporarily until he breaks down again. And Stones and Sancho got to go find new homes.
I think you're the only team as well that has 4 defenders in their starting lineup.
Yeah, I like my defenders.
Yeah. Good old iron wall, huh? Very 2015.
I like my defenders because Saliba does bits, and James and Trent play further up the pitch, and they get involved more in the midfield actions as well. So they do actually get on the ball quite a lot in those systems. That's why I like the two of them. They both come inside and get on the ball and get on the play. And James, until his hamstring bins off again, he will be very useful. It's just being aware that I need to have a transfer in the tank for when his inevitable collapse comes.
I think it already has. He didn't play at the weekend.
Oh, that's the Ledley King system of they've agreed that he has a certain amount of minutes in him a week between the 2 to 3 games that they play. And once he hits that allotment, then they move him out so that they can keep his body together.
So I think there's a numerical reality with this team, John, and it has been playing out in the results. And I think
I'm going to win the league, that I'm winning, and that I'm.
You're not winning. No, you have 2/3 of the points I have this season so far because I have a bench and you don't. No, the point I was going to make is that if you want to win this league, I think there's a magic number and it's 4. And I think it's 4 players you need, not necessarily in different positions, but you need to have 4 players in your starting lineup who will consistently 12 to 15 to 18 to 20 points. And I think on your best day there, you have 3 for consistently across the season. And I think it's Pope, Alexander-Arnold, and Fernandes. I don't think Smith Rowe is not going to consistently get you 15 points a week. Saliba is not going to consistently get you 15 points a week because clean sheets are over and we all need to get over them. I don't think there's enough attacking midfield returns there.
Is that why we're level on 21 points in the league this season?
We're on 21 points.
that me and you were.
Do you want to go there? Do you want to go there? I have lost 3 games by a margin of less than 3% of the points scored. I have lost the 3 tightest games of the league this season. I lost 1 other game to Dean, and I have your points plus 50% year to date scored. So yeah, my
the league table don't lie. The league table says that.
Hate me later, bitch. The league table don't lie. That's true. There's more to it than just the points. But I think I would on the midfield, and I don't think you have one right now.
I disagree. My midfield is fine. It's not there. The midfield isn't the problem. It is injuries, and I have a bit of work to do.
Yeah, you're a bit cursed this year,
and I have a bit of work
for the injuries. Yeah.
Next
but
team.
Look, the year is long. The year is long, and I wish you well, sir. Well, here he is now.
So much for wishing well.
This fucking guy.
Wish him well to fuck this guy. Man is on fire, and I'm sick of it.
He hasn't been beaten since. He hasn't been beaten since you sent him Cole Palmer as a ringer, Gary. It's not even that strong of a team when you look at it first, but then you realize as you go down through it, who's the weak point? It's probably Madueke, who's a solid player, and that bench is terrifying.
The weak link in the starting lineup is obviously for me.
Yeah,
Vicario.
But then you look at the bench and you can choose between Martinelli or KDB, Kevin De Bruyne, who has just come back. The concern I have with this one is there's a lot of players there who could potentially fall off throughout the season. Chris Wood is in phenomenal form.
McNeil, Damsgaard, Murillo, Munoz.
Yeah, there's a lot of players who are hitting purple patches in teams that will struggle at some point during the season. Wood, McNeil, Damsgaard, Madueke.
The only thing is Dermot uses the open market very well. He's a form gaffer is what his thing is, Gary. Like you kind of pick your squad and you tweak, whereas he'll consistently modify his team over the course of a month and 6 weeks.
Yeah, and he has done that quite well throughout the years of the league. But I think it's been 2 or 3 maximum time, like players who we'd be swapping in and swapping out. Looking at that there, there's 1, 2, 5 in the starting lineup, and then if you take De Bruyne and Martinelli potentially going in, and Martinelli is a victim of the rotation, but
he's just crap.
There's 4 players there that you'd need to be on the open market changing in and out, and at some point, and it should have been last week, it will bite you in the ass.
Yeah,
Dermot didn't win his match last week, and this is going to be me salty, but I am being salty about it. Dermot didn't win, I lost. And had I been a little bit more weak, I would have beaten him.
Yeah,
I think the league is coming for Dermot.
I know exactly how you feel.
The league is coming for Dermot.
I don't want anybody 9 points clear this early. He's 9 points clear after 12 games. I don't want anybody Man Citying this shit. He must fall. He must fall like a statue of Saddam Hussein.
So I'm hearing the word collusion and shenanigans starting to play a part.
Why, sir? Whatever could you mean?
Never happened.
It's going to be the Cast Alliance, is it? Other than the fact that I don't trust either of you two, I'd be like, let's have a podcast alliance. But I don't trust either of you
in this league.
Come on, man. He's my flesh and blood. Let's kill him.
Next team, please.
Next team. My Rostitutes. Joey, the returning hero. The man who left us for years and came back, and we were absolutely delighted to have him back. It's great to have him back with us. What's with all the Arsenal?
For a Spurs fan. He's
a Spurs fan who always had a soft spot for Leicester, and it's just like there's loads of Arsenal. But let's do the top to bottom. Raya's doing okay. De Ligt is again a good player in a bad defense. Paro is absolutely solid. Akanji is nowhere. Trossard has moved to a 90 minutes player, and I'm not sure he's scoring more fantasy-wise in the 90 minutes, but he's still doing okay. Rodgers is phenomenal. Harry Winks is a waste of time. Thomas Partey is a waste of time. Xerxes
is the worst footballer United have bought outside of Anthony in 20 years and is going to go back to Italy in January because he's crap.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Muniz, not great. Solanke, not really happening.
Muniz is good, but Jimenez is on form, so he can't get a game. Solanke's solid.
And the bench isn't too bad, again, barring injury. Ederson has the City defence problem, sure, but he's going to be solid. Deeney has finally started scoring points that reflect his ability. Last year, he had more games where he scored negative than positive, but this year he's actually really good. Mikolenko has an injury issue, but is another solid pick. Tsimikas, I'm not really sure is going to get much game time. Odegaard is the captain of the Arsenal team, so obviously any Spurs fan would have to have him, and I'm sure he'll be back soon. Curtis Jones, I think the phrase that gets... The phrase we use with Curtis Jones in my shop is absolute baller. He is a phenomenal young player. Absolutely phenomenal. Maybe the greatest player ever to play for Liverpool. That one was for you, Steve Mack. And then there's Richarlison, who there isn't a boot in the world big enough to give that man the kick up the arse that he needs. I don't think it's a great team. I don't think it's a terrible team. I think it's a solid mid-table team with a couple of good subs.
There's a couple of players I'm kind of sniffing. I want to sniff out on that team. There's 3 I'd have my eyes on.
Yeah, there is definitely one in there that I would have my eye on, and it isn't the one you'd think.
There's 2 that you can spot his 2 non-negotiables. They're Solanke and Odegaard. Leave them alone, and then everybody else, I'd say, is up for grabs. And Gary's going to go for Tsimikas.
I would say Porro was probably a non-negotiable there as well.
Yeah, Porro being the third. I would say they're his 3.
Yeah. Tsimikas can go and do one. He will not get in ahead of my fantasy football nailed on pick every year, Andy Robertson.
Until he gets sold in the summer, and then you have to. You know what? We have this thing, right? This emotional connection to these guys that when they get sold, it's just like, oh. No. It's like we had George Boyd. We had Chris Smalling go to Roma. That hurt the league, which was a random one. You had when Mitrovic went, I just wanted him to stay in the Premier League so I could keep picking him.
Juan Mata.
Juan Mata. Never forget. And once again, it is time for our weekly allusion to the Mad Apocalypse, which we still don't have time to explain this week.
I think there's a podcast in there of like old stories.
There is.
We keep meaning to say it, but what is going to happen is we're going to reference Juan Mata as Lee Jesus every other week, and I believe there's a photo of Juan Mata with some long hair, so we're going to have to get that photo and have Juan Mata Jesus.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. We'll go to the last of our teams.
Next
to the new man, to Jack. Spit on that.
We run off him because I do want to talk about the referee nonsense. So let's
great team name. As the 4th highest scoring team, and he is second from the bottom because he keeps coming up against absolutely everybody's best week. There's no problem out front. Isaac, Welbeck, Mateta. Welbeck on the form of his life, by the way. Yeah. Mateta was, I think, a great trade by him. He did really well out of that one. Thanks, Jack. Great pick on Caicedo, who is a different man now that he is captaining Chelsea. Paqueta will come good if West Ham do. Doku will come back from injury. He'll be involved. Pereira is one of the best players of the season. Every season. Pinnock, I am sickened I dropped. I really should have kept the faith a little longer because they're reaching their good patch now. Fofana's not much cop. Mazraoui isn't much cop. Onana is going to be busy because the defense in front of him is terrible. There's not much on the bench, if I'm being honest. You've got good players who don't score high. Tonali, not a high scorer. Eze, not really firing. Onana dropped off a lot in the last 4 weeks. Aït-Nouri's a good pick. Livramento would be a good pick if Newcastle were keeping goals out. He's going to be an attacking defender. We know this. He's not going to be Trippier right away, but he's going to do a lot. Henderson is a great pick, and Ndiaye cost me my game week 1 last season. So
it's a pretty solid team.
Yeah, it's solid.
He'll climb, and he's the. I like the fact that he's very new to the league because he's not scared of trading with Gary or he has been
fearless, to be fair.
Yeah,
where you absolutely pulled his pants down that deal of Konate for Mateta. He's going to be fine. The team's all right. Probably a couple of tweaks there. I'd be looking at Fofana. Probably arguably has to go. Doku definitely needs to go. He does nothing.
Only because he's injured. I'm telling you, that one will come good. He'll come good before Foden.
Those would be the 3 for me. I don't rate Doku anyway. I think he's quick, and that's about it.
Okay.
So that's the teams. That's the teams of the league.
Okay,
let's get rid of this because
that's the teams. That's where we are.
I want to talk about. We're going to talk about the November internationals next week because there's a lot going on in international football. So let's talk about that next week. But I want to talk about David Coote before we do our quiz.
Ooh, David Coote.
Who is this guy? Get me up to speed.
Gary, would you like to kick off with as our resident Liverpool fan, Jimmy, Joe, your sentence. Do the voice.
No fucking against us.
Well,
they're all out to get us.
Turns out they might have a point.
They actually might be.
No.
They actually might be. So David Coote, who is a Premier League referee and part of the PGMOL, was a video circulated during the week of him referring to Jurgen Klopp in a term that can only be described as a "see you next Tuesday."
He also used he also may have referenced his Germanisms.
He did. He did. I was trying to be PC for the kids listening to this podcast, but sure, fuck it.
That's the best way of saying it. The Germanisms.
Yes, he
Please
did.
Do not let your kids listen to this podcast. Carry on.
Yeah. So he did reference this. There was a second video that actually went around with his colleague on the video saying, "We know he's a Premier League referee. Please don't crucify him. Please don't end his career." Blah blah blah. His career is over because he has.
Oh, Gary, there's a third video. There's a third video that released in the last 2 hours.
Oh no, we'll get to that.
Oh, yeah, okay. Sorry.
We will get to that. We will get to that in a second. His career is already over, regardless of what happened with the third video. He has blatantly shown that he has a bias against Liverpool. If we cast our minds back,
statistically incorrect, might I add. There's only one that has a higher win record with him as a referee, and it's Man City.
Yep. He was the fourth official in the Liverpool-Arsenal game at Anfield, where Liverpool should have gotten a penalty for an Odegaard handball. Howard Webb came out on Sky Sports the week after, Howard Webb being the head of the PGMOL, saying that yes, the VAR decision was wrong and it highlighted errors in the VAR system, but it ultimately came down to David Coote's making the decision that it wasn't a handball. He was also part of the refereeing team when Liverpool played Everton in the Merseyside derby at Goodison Park, where Virgil van Dijk done his ACL after what can only be described as a kung fu-esque tackle from Jordan Pickford.
That was because the linesman didn't do the offside.
No. That was more down to the fact that Jordan Pickford should have been sent off for a rugby tackle on Virgil van Dijk and didn't even get booked. Who was the fourth official that day? David Coote.
Yeah.
So
fourth official.
not only doesn't matter. He has an influence on the decision. He does have an influence on it.
He doesn't have an influence as a fourth.
Ultimately, he does have an influence on it. Look, he has shown a blatant disregard for Liverpool. He has shown a blatant bias against Liverpool, and there are historical decisions over the last 2 seasons where he has been part of the refereeing team that have gone against Liverpool. His career is over even before the third video that circulated, which I have not seen yet. But apparently,
allegedly,
John, what has happened?
Allegedly, the Premier League referee who was on duty last year at the World Cup, who was staying in a UEFA paid for a hotel the night after he refereed the Spanish quarterfinal, was videoed and supposedly sent this video to his mate of him on the Snow Globes.
Are you telling me the ref is also a linesman?
Yeah. Yeah. Did you have that pre-prepped and in the tank ready to go?
No.
Yeah, so it's one of those ones. I did some digging on this because I'm not a Liverpool fan, so I went and did a bit of digging, and it's fascinating when you look at both sides. He's wrong. He's fired. Absolutely. I'm going to get that one very out in front and center before this counter point comes in. As I said, statistically, number one. No team has won more games under his watch as a referee than Man City. Next is Liverpool. That is statistically true. This is statistically true. You can't
I'll challenge that in a second. So I'll let you finish, but I'll challenge that in a second.
Also, well, that's actually factually correct. Also, on the second point of the reason why he called Jurgen Klopp a big giant thunder and sea was because, as good as Jurgen Klopp is, as nice he is, he's a horrible dickhead towards referees. Always has been. The man pulled the quad because he wanted to get to the referee faster, just screaming at him for. This is true. So if you're going to work to get screamed at by somebody, I think you're kind of within your entitlement to think they're a bit of a cunt. But as a referee, you don't say it.
Yeah, you don't say it on camera anyway.
You don't say it on camera and pass it around. But if you go to work and you have some fella screaming in your face going, you're a prick, blah, 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 you don't know anything. When you leave your job and sit down and have a beer, you're going to be like, yeah, that fella had to do it. We've all had bad customers who I'm sure are lovely people in their day jobs, but they were cunts towards us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can't argue with that. But ultimately, if you're a referee, you do need to be able to park that when you're in a position of influence on a game, which he hasn't been able to do. Also, back to your point around the two teams who have statistically won the most games under his watch. To be fair, over the last 3 or 4 years of the Premier League, statistically, Man City and Liverpool have won the most games in general. So, you know,
yeah, but if he was
when you look at it in relative terms, he's probably refereed more Man City and Liverpool games than any other team. So,
well, Arsenal have done quite well over the last year.
They have. But you can't just say that a referee has statistically refereed the most wins for Liverpool and Man City over the last 2 years, because he may have refereed more of those games.
But
Liverpool and City statistically have won a lot of games. So,
but what's the solution here? Because, like, to be honest with you, as somebody who's actually involved in football, I fucking hate referees. I think most of it, like, there's a double-edged sword here. Like, thank you to the comments. The first punishment for Coote is to dock Everton 10 points. I
think it should be a 0 for next week for him. But,
yeah, 0 for Jimmy. No, like, it's one of those ones. Like, referees are absolutely needed, right? Fantastic. At the Premier League, they should be able to bring in the best and the brightest from around the world. But you actually can't referee in England unless you hold the English referee certificate, not the European one, and vice versa. So an English referee can't go referee in Germany, and a German referee can't come and referee in England, but they can all go referee Champions Leagues.
Yeah, so, well, Brexit means Brexit, innit?
Brexit means Brexit, innit? Yeah, but that was even before that. It's the referees are ran through the national FAs. It's the same here, and biases are just a case of point of people, like, you know.
Yeah, but then you look at what there's an easy way to handle that. It's your performance review. How a referee does on a match-by-match basis. You allocate points to them, and they have to continue to meet a certain standard. With all of the technology that's there, with VAR being improved, with the semi-automated offsides, and all of the other advances that have been made in the game, it's a lot harder to make a mistake in a decision. I will 100% say that a referee's job is nigh on impossible. It's not a job I would wish on anybody. And they are human and will make mistakes, and that absolutely can be taken into account. But if you see a trend over time where mistakes are being made, that's either down to a bias, and you can easily see that if it's against one team, or it's about a competency issue. Thank you.
But I think
that is quickly identified, and then you make sure that your top referees are the ones who are refereeing on a more regular basis throughout the season. You have a pool of 20 referees or 30 referees, and you pick and choose depending on availability, but also on performance over the course of the season.
I think that's fair.
It's the same in any job.
Well, look, like Joe, even at my level of involvement in football, like, the biggest problem with some of the referees is their own attitude. And you've seen this in the Premier League with, like, Mike Deans and stuff with these arrogant arseholes. The referees who, like, we don't have problems with referees when they talk to you like you're a person. You know, it's like, yeah, man, that was a foul. Like, get over it. It's like, yeah, fine. Yeah, I don't kick the guy. That's fine. When a referee gets up and goes, "That's a yellow card. Get out of my fucking face." It's like, hold on a second, buddy. Now you're antagonizing the whole situation, and you're making it a performance about you. Mike Dean was the absolute hero of making a match about him. I think Andy Coote probably might have a little bit of a druggy problem, and that may have colored some issues for him. If that is the case, sorry, I wish him the best of luck, but you can't be a Premier League referee.
Oh, he's done. From what you boys are telling me, he's done for a host of reasons. Probably worst of all because he did the unthinkable thing of getting caught on camera doing all of this.
It's the second video for me that shows the stupid. It's the we really make sure this shouldn't be sent around because I'll lose my job. It's like, well, maybe just tell your idiot friend to delete the video.
Not to
well, if there's a third video now, you can be damn sure it's because the Red Tops went to everybody they knew that knew him and went, here, we've got 10 grand for whatever else you've got. You know what I mean? That's,
the source of the new video is the Sun, so.
Shocked I am.
Probably cost them 5 figures to get that video. And you can probably bet there'll be more.
If it's the Sun that have this, how did anyone in Liverpool hear about it?
Very good point.
But this is only after that third video is only in the last
greatest boycott in history, by the way. Can we just get that out there? Greatest boycott in history, apart from Duns in South Africa in the 80s. Greatest boycott in history. Coming from a city that has in the past had problems with the press, the idea of a city collectively going, we don't buy your paper anymore, and actually doing it and sticking to it for 30 years is outstanding. Moving on.
Fact.
Yep.
Is it time?
It's time.
It's time.
Is it time?
Do I sing the song?
Give us the jingle.
We're gonna go a little bit more sexy right now. We're gonna go, John, John, put the quiz in us, John. Rub the quiz all over my face. Put it in my special place. It's my heart. Do the quiz, John.
I try
every week. I want a new jingle.
You'll get one.
You know what? If when as this grows and as there's a follower base, that is going to be like the interaction of the podcast. I want people to voice note the jingles and send them to us, and we will play the John quiz jingle of whatever nonsense that we get sent on as WhatsApp voice notes.
For anyone listening, I will perform your chosen John jingle any week you send one through. There's guitars here, there's pianos here. We don't know what way it's going to go, but I will perform your suggested John jingles.
I'm in for this. Right, anyway, the quiz. We have, as usual, we have 10 questions. 10 questions only. No, we don't. We have 11 questions because there is a bonus question if there is a tiebreaker. In terms of, you both get one crack at the questions, and you will be, when I say you're let back in, you're let back in. And over in the top right-hand corner, we have Jimmy, #PepOut. Kavanagh, and down below me where he belongs at the base of the table is Gary Pep in Cronin. Question 1. Which Match of the Day presenter famously never received a yellow or red card during their career?
Gary Lineker.
Oh, Jimmy's in there. 1-0. What goalkeeper currently has the most clean sheets so far this season?
Mark Flecken.
Fuck no.
Quaven Gallagher.
Oh, you're back in.
Most clean sheets this season.
Most clean sheets this season. No.
Nick Pope.
Ooh.
Is it Allison?
No, Allison's been injured. That's it. Like, you both got back in. So will I give you a second back in? You get a second back in. Go on, because I want to see a winner. You both get this one. Who? Fuck no. He plays for Wolves. They haven't kept a clean sheet yet.
No.
That is a team level answer. No, Arsenal, it's actually Onana.
Really?
It is 6 clean sheets so far this season. It is actually Flecken with 5 next to him.
Knew he was up there.
Now, using the Statr point system, which player had the most points in the previous game week?
Mohamed Salah.
No.
Was it Neto?
No, you're both back in.
Was it Bruno Fernandes?
No. We talked about him earlier on.
Of course we did. We went through everyone's team.
Exactly.
I'm trying to remember the...
No, okay, that's you both. You both got 2 back ins there. It's Mateus Cunha.
Telling you, he's
the one that got, as we said, he got.
How many points did he score last week?
23, 24, was it?
I'll tell you now, I have it here.
24.
He did. I should be quicker at this, but actually, never mind. I was wrong. Which one did you say, Bruno Fernandes?
I did.
Yeah, okay. He gets the point. Bruno Fernandes.
Fucking, I should have kept my shut.
Second week in a row, he's been top.
I apologize. This is the problem when you have our own self-built
2 weeks in a row. Keep an eye on that.
Who?
Bruno Fernandes has had the top scoring points for the game week 2 weeks in a row now.
Yes, he has. Anyway, most Premier League assists of all time. Ryan Giggs, 2-1, boom. I have a career path question. I do love a career path question, and they always get funny. I have played for Cambridge, Hamilton, Wakatio, West Brom, Leicester, Ipswich, Leeds, Burnley, Newcastle, and Nottingham Forest.
Read that out again.
What's worse is I took out all of this fella's loan deals. I have played for Cambridge, Hamilton, Waikato, West Brom, Leicester, Ipswich, Leeds, Burnley, Newcastle, and Nottingham Forest.
Chris Wood,
New Zealand's greatest ever export to the Premier League.
He was savage for 20 minutes at Burnley. He was savage for 20 minutes at Leicester. He was savage for 20 minutes at West Brom.
It was Leicester that threw me. I didn't realize
he went on loan there and then signed permanently. So I only put in his permanent moves and not the loans, because it would have been fucking scandalously long. I still really know. So that's 3-1 to Jimmy. Gary, come on now. I am happy that, Jimmy, you have done better than last week. Who has the most Premier League? What team has the most Premier League own goals in history?
Everton.
It's Everton.
Okay. I was going to say Derby, but yeah.
Richard
Jon. That was 62. Next up was Villa with 58 and West Ham with 51, rounding off the top three there.
Didn't Richard Jon play?
I believe he did. Did by any chance he play for Villa at any point? I wonder. Okay.
Interesting.
Oh no. Oh yeah, I have it. I was trying to find my notes. Which team has the most offsides in the season so far?
Liverpool.
No. No.
United.
Spurs.
No.
Arsenal.
For both of you, no.
Chelsea.
No.
That's two back in.
Let it ride. No.
Spurs.
Fulham.
No. Fuck me, boys. No.
Brighton.
We're running out of teeth.
Hang on a second. Given how hard you watched the fucking...
It's Forest.
It's a Forest.
Okay. Are you sure? You don't want to go back and check, or is it Bruno Fernandes again?
It's Bruno Fernandes again. No, that's 3-3 with 3 questions to play. Dun, dun, dun. The pressure is on. Who's the highest goal scorer in the WSL so far? 7 games in. 8
Bunny
games
Shaw.
in, sorry. Who?
Bunny Shaw.
Yeah. She's on fire. Must actually do it. You know what? Next week when we're doing the Nationals rounds up, we're going to have a quick look at the WSL because it's overlapping with the internationals. That's what we're going to do. Who's Ireland's most cap player? Seems as we're going into internationals.
Robbie Keane.
Jimmy's in there, 4-3. 5-3.
5-3.
Jimmy's won. We have one question
2 more
left.
questions, do we not?
And a bonus question.
Shit.
And a bonus question. Anyway, speaking of Keane, Roy Keane's daughter is getting married to which Southampton defender?
We talked about this before we came on air, and I can't remember his name.
I really want to say Willie Smallbone.
He's an England international.
Willie Smallbone was not an England international.
Charles Dimber.
No, I said the player in question's an England international.
Oh.
Taylor Harwood
I have no
Bellis.
idea.
Harwood Bellis.
The Southampton centre back.
So hang on. Southampton have a defender with the surname Hardwood and a midfielder with the surname Smallbone. I am juvenile and I don't
Hardwood,
care.
Smallbone. Smallbone, Hardwood. Which way does it go? It's actually not.
All they need to have is Chris Wood up front.
They've got a strong spine, do they?
Look, all I'm saying is, if you want to put the thing in the hole, you're going to need Wood up front. Who wants to patent a ridiculous prediction for next week? Seeing as last week I predicted Brighton would beat City.
We do it? Yeah, go on. We're like,
okay. You ready for this?
Your weekend predictions, and then we're out the gap because
best
I love you, but I'm sick of your faces, and I want to go pick my fantasy team for the weekend.
The Mandem are going to get a surprise at 12:30 on Saturday. Leicester are going to make them hurt.
It's the international break, Jimmy.
Saturday.
The international break, Jimmy. Oh, Saturday week.
No, I'm telling you, that first fixture, apart from the 12:30 being the curse of anybody who's ever put a few quid
on a streak.
And Leicester are not, and I'm telling you now, take Leicester.
Gary, would you like to your City are going to come forth and we're just going to wrap it up here?
Well, I'm just saying they're on the worst run of form under Pep that they've had since he joined. But I am going to go with Liverpool not getting a result at Southampton. Not saying they'll lose, but I don't think they'll win.
Wow.
That is my crazy prediction. I was going to go with Forest beating Arsenal, but that is actually quite possible. That wouldn't be a massive shock given what's going on at the moment and how
that's going to be a goal fest.
Yes, I don't think Liverpool will beat Southampton.
Wolves will probably end up beating my beloved Fulham because Fulham are on the crest of wave. Wolves can't pick up a point, and it's bound to happen eventually. And it's at the Craven Cottage.
It is going to be a delicious week.
It's actually a game that I had planned on going to, but other things have meant that I got work to do, so that's fine. I was going to probably go over to Craven Cottage to see them lose anyhow. Anyway, on that note, boys, I love you. Well, I don't. That's a lie.
Gentlemen,
but I will leave you.
It's been